You mentioned that the fear of boredom might be a kind of proxy for the fear of death.
Mhm.
So what role does the fear of death play in the human condition? Are you afraid of death?
Yes, I think everybody are afraid of death. I mean, all our fears come out of the fear of death.
Mhm.
But the fear of death is just so deep and difficult. We can't face it directly. So we cut it into little pieces and we face just little pieces. Oh, I lost my smartphone. That's a little piece of the fear of death, which is of losing everything. So I can't deal with losing everything. I'm dealing now with losing my phone or losing a book or whatever. I feel pain. That's a small bit of the fear of death. Somebody who really doesn't fear death would not fear anything at all. They'll be like, anything that happens, I can deal with it. If I can deal with death, this is nothing.
So any fears as a distant echo of the big fear of death. Have you ever looked at it head on, caught glimpses, sort of contemplated as the Stoics do?
Yes, I mean, and when I was a teenager, I would constantly contemplate it, trying to understand, to imagine. It was it was a very, very shocking and moving experience. I remember it especially in connection, like with national ideology, which was also very big, strong in Israel, still is. Which again comes from the fear of death. You know that you're going to die, so you said, okay, I die, but the nation lives on. I live on through the nation. I don't really die.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear it especially on Memorial Day for fallen soldiers. So every day there'll be in school Memorial Day for fallen soldiers who fell defending Israel in all its different wars. And all the kids would come dressed in white, and you'll have this big ceremony with flags and songs and dances in memory of the fallen soldiers. And you get the impression, again, I don't want it to sound crass, but you get the impression that the best thing in life is to be a fallen soldier. Because even though, yes, you die, everybody dies in the end, but then you'll have all these school kids for years and years remembering you and celebrating you, and you don't really die. And I remember standing in these ceremonies and thinking, what does it actually mean? Like, okay, so if I'm a fallen soldier, now I'm a skeleton, I'm bones under this, in this military cemetery, under this stone. Do I actually hear the kids singing all these patriotic songs? If not, how do I know they do it? Maybe they trick me. Maybe I die in the war and then they don't sing any songs. And how does it help me? And I realized, I was quite young at the time, that if you're dead, you can't hear anything because that's the meaning of being dead. And if you're dead, you can't think of anything like, oh, now they're remembering because you're dead. That's the meaning of being dead. And it was a shocking realization.
But it's a really difficult realization to hold in your mind. Like it's the end.
I lost it over time. I mean, for many years, it was a very powerful fuel, motivation for spiritual exploration. And I realized that the fear of death is really a very powerful drive. And over the years, especially as I meditated, it kind of dissipated. And today, I sometimes find myself trying to recapture this teenage fear of death because it was so powerful, and I just can't. I try to make the same image. I don't know. It's
something about the teenage years.
Yeah, as a teenager, I always thought that the adults, there is something wrong with the adults because they don't get it. Like I would ask my parents or teachers about it, and they, yes, you die in the end, that's it. And on the other hand, they are so worried about other things. Like there'll be a political crisis or an economic problem or a personal problem like with the bank or whatever. They'll be so worried. But then about the fact that they're going to die, we don't care about it.
That's why you read Camus and others when you're a teenager. You really worry about the existential questions.